video I want to go over why it's important to have diversity in your woodland. Now, I love oaks, I love hickories, I love walnuts. Those are all fantastic trees, but I got a lot of them in this woodland. So what I'm doing today is I'm interplanting some of these other trees that I got from the conservation department. So I got some wild plum here, I got some pawpaw trees here, I got some pecan trees here, and I got some button bush. I want to talk about why it's important to have that diversity. If you think about the previous trees that I just named, so those are great trees, and if you have a full stand of them, they can support a few different types of wildlife. But in my woodland, I want to support as many types of wildlife as I possibly can. And no, I'm not just talking about specifically whitetail or turkey or bobwhite quail, although I want to support those too. I'm talking about songbirds, all types of birds. I'm talking about lizards, snakes, predators, fur bearers, small game, even insects. I'm talking about as much diversity as I possibly can. So for someone that diversity is important as far as like the wildlife diversity on your woodland, if that's important to you, then you're gonna need a lot of different species to support all those different types of wildlife. A raccoon is not gonna be supported by the same type of trees and habitat. For instance, a bee or something like that might be supported by. So by having all these different species inside your woodland, you increase the amount of other species that depend on them for survival. But with that being said, how can I convince someone who is only into it for hunting, they only care about turkey, they only care about deer? How am I going to convince someone that diversity in your tree species is important? Well, it's pretty easy to do that as well. So think about this. Every fall, you know those deer are going to be on white acorns, and then when the white acorns are gone, they're gonna go after acorns from red oak family. Well, that's during the fall, and it's for a very limited amount of time. And on a bad year, say a year where there's not a lot of acorns being produced, last year was a bumper year, deer were inside the woods, they were inside the woods until late into the winter still eating acorns. But that's not every year. So when you have a bunch of different species, those species are gonna drop mast at different times of the year. For instance, in the species that I just named, wild plum, midsummer, maybe to late summer, they're gonna be dropping fruit. Wildlife is gonna be in here taking advantage of that. Next up, you got pawpaws. Pawpaws are gonna be dropping late summer. So once the wild plums are gone, now you got pawpaws you can feed on. Pecans, I planted some chestnut a few days ago. Those are gonna be dropping in the fall. If say the acorns, we have a bad year for acorns, now you got pecans as a backup. Now you got chestnuts as a backup. You got persimmons. Persimmons are gonna be dropping their fruit. Sometimes they don't ripen and fall off the tree until late winter. They can make an excellent late winter food crop. So by having all these different types of trees in your woodland or on your hunting ground, you've just fed those deer for a lot longer span than say an entire tree stand of white oaks. White oaks are great, deer love them, but by having a whole bunch of different species, you can prolong that feeding area, you can prolong that amount of food that they're able to have throughout the year. And as I previously said, if one crop doesn't produce very well that year, you've got backups. They have options to choose from. We got to think that deer don't purely just like one particular type of food. Deer graze. Deer are always looking for different types of food to fill all those little nutritional gaps. There's not really one superfood that just fulfills all of a deer's nutritional needs. So by having all these different species that they can choose from, they can look for and seek out the nutrition that they need at that time. They love to have options. They don't want, this monoculture where they only have one specific thing to eat on. They will definitely go for, like, if you have standing corn, they're definitely going to hit that very, very hard. And if they are, probably have a nutritional deficiency. But by giving them a buffet of a whole bunch of different options, now you've just opened up a whole new world of nutrition for that deer. That deer can go out, it can browse and get exactly what it needs, exactly what it's hungry for, and it just increases the amount of nutrition and the health of your deer population. So hopefully, guys, I've given you at least a little bit of a reason to get out there, maybe plant some new trees, maybe take some more value in those trees that aren't oaks, maybe take a lot more value in diversifying your woodlot. I understand that a lot of these trees, a lot of them are understory trees, and a lot of them, they're not very valuable in lumber production. And I certainly understand that as a landowner, you want to be able to make some money off of your land, but if you're willing to sacrifice that just a little bit, I think the benefits are exponential for the wildlife that are on your woodland. Not only white-tailed deer and turkey and all those animals that we love to hunt, but also, I mean, I find it very enjoyable when I'm sitting into a deer stand and I'm counting, you know, 20 to 30 different types of birds that are flying by. And I'm seeing different stuff. I'm seeing bobcats, I'm seeing raccoons and skunks, and you know, I'm going out on hikes with my kids, and I can tell there's different species of frogs in the pond, seeing different types of even snakes, lizards, etc. I mean, that stuff to me is what the whole aspect of being outdoors, it just brings so much more meaning, enjoyment, and fulfillment. And I'm lucky enough to be a landowner, even if it ain't a huge tract of land. I just have a small spot of land, but I want it to be the most diverse spot of land that I can possibly make it. And I want to support the most amount of wildlife that I can possibly support. So get out there, do some tree planting, have some fun. And if you enjoyed this video, check out some of my other videos. I'd appreciate you hit that like button at the bottom of the screen. It'll sure help me a lot and my family. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time.